in the last 50 years, there is a trend in America. More and more people move from the traditional burial to cremation. If in the 50s and in the 60s, 3% were choosing cremation over the traditional burial, today, it's over 50% of society in America, the nation, is choosing cremation. It's really unbelievable. What's the reason? Reason number one is the cost. Cremation is probably a third of the cost from a regular burial, between the funeral, the cemetery, the grave, and all of the above. The second reason is that people argue that cemeteries eventually will run out of space. We cannot go on like this. We need to save the space for the world, for humanity, for the livings, for living. Therefore, we better off make sure we don't take, especially in the big cities when real estate is so expensive and it's so crowded, and there is no place for cemeteries. Then I heard this week a third reason. I spoke about that, and somebody told me, you see, if the loved ones are buried in one place, and today the community, the world is very movable, if you want. People move from one place to another. Then they cannot go back to the city where their parents or the loved ones are buried. That they feel guilty that they don't go to visit the graves. In this way, instead of feeling guilty, they leave it in a bottle. They have the ashes in a bottle and they take it with them wherever they go. Or at least they don't feel guilty. They don't feel guilty that there is a designated place that they should go. And first of all, we have to make sure and clear. Judaism believes by Jewish law, you're not allowed to do cremation. Absolutely not. In fact, the Rebbe once answered to somebody that as long as the body is not disintegrated completely, there is a part of the soul together with the body. That when you burn the body, there is like a life there. And as much as you don't burn, God forbid, a human being who is alive, this is also the most cruel choice to do, cool thing to do. To burn a person that there is a part of his neshama, a part of his soul still with his body, still remains with him, still connected. Not long ago, a few years ago, maybe in 2015, a little earlier, they were in the state of Washington, there was a young woman who decided to research. There's a TED talk that she gives. She decided to research what is happening to the body after a person dies. At first, she researched the traditional burial. She said that normally in America, you bury a person in a coffin made out of wood. Many times the wood is of an expensive wood. And then there is the vault. It's made out of metal, of iron and cement. And you bury the coffin inside the cement, inside the vault that's made from cement and iron. And then you put on top of it a big, heavy cover. You need a crane for it to lower down, as anybody who sees by any funeral. You cover them up, it could be covered up, and on top of it, you cover with dirt. That she calculated that in 1 year in America, they bury enough cement and iron, and you can build the Golden Gate Bridge. And there is amount of wood that they bury is enough to build in 1 year, enough to build 1,800 homes, single family houses. And then she says, beside burying so much cement and iron and wood, there's again the same problem, taking away space from the environment, taking away property, real estate, expensive real estate. Then she decided to check, then this option she didn't like. Then she checked the second option. Second option is cremation. Many times people say that they choose cremation over the regular traditional burial because they want to save the environment. What she found out is just the opposite. Burning the people, creates so much carbon dioxide. It creates so much pollution in the environment that is much worse for the environment than burial. Actually, according to her calculation, 600 million pounds of carbon dioxide is being released to the atmosphere from 1 year of cremation in America. And obviously, it's not doing good for the environment. Actually, very bad for the environment. Anybody who is so busy with saving the environment and the global warming and all of the above, this is not helping the situation. And what is the solution? She came up with a solution. Great solution, this unbelievable discovery. She heard that farmers in America for many years already, how they get rid of their animals. What they do when a cow dies, they leave her on the ground outside. They cover it up with a few feet of wood chips and straw. And 9 months later, the whole body disintegrates and it becomes just like, it becomes like a material that you can, spread it on the ground. And you can grow in what you do in the field, and you grow things. I forgot the word for it. Just I lost it now, and I don't remember exactly the word for it. Fertilizer. Thank you. It's a lot of fertilizer. That's a lot of fertilizer. It's the best fertilizer for the earth. And the farmers use it for growing things. And she said, why we should not do it with human beings? She came up with an idea that you can put, and she tried it, and she created a company. They put the human being after dies in a coffin actually made out of metal, and you cover him with wood chips and straw, and you lock it up, and after 30 days, the whole body disintegrates and becomes fertilizer. And then you can take it to your backyard and spread it on if you have a garden there, and you can grow tomatoes and potatoes and everything else that you want. Or you can donate it to a park. And before, until 2019, it was not legal. If you do such a thing, it could be considered as a cemetery. But in 2019, in Seattle, Washington, it became law that you're allowed to do it. And they have a company like this. She said, in this way, the human being doesn't hurt the environment, doesn't hurt the global warming and all of this. Actually, the body is contributing, it's going back to his full cycle, and it becomes fertilizer. Sounds a great idea. The truth is, what she invented in 2019 is really something that Judaism invented from day one. It's written in the Torah, you came from dust, you should go back to dust. How is in Israel, until today, how is in Israel is being practiced burial? They actually put the body in the ground. The grave is an empty grave. They don't use coffins. For sure, they don't use this vault made out of metal and iron and cement. They put the body on the ground, They make sure that around it there is like bricks, and in top of the person, not literally in top of the person, but creating almost like a box. They put in top of them bricks too, and this way that when you cover them with the dirt, it's not literally on the person, but the human being is laying on the ground to fulfill what God says. You came from dust, you should go back to dust. And that's being done until today. But in Judaism, we cannot accept this idea that she came up with. So it's called human composting, I think. The Torah says in the book of Deuteronomy that it's a mitzvah to bury a person. Ki kavod tikberenu. You have to bury him. It's a mitzvah to bury a person. It's a part of the respect of the dead. Now, more than that, the idea of using the fertilizer of the human being for other things is not allowed, because there is another law in Jewish law about dead people, that you're not allowed to benefit from a dead person in any way. Then you cannot draw any benefit, gain any benefit from it. But the concept that you're going back to dust and you eventually disintegrate the human being as much as it disintegrate, this is something that's being practiced every day and practiced for thousands of years. And nobody really invented anything new. Why I'm talking to you about this today? Because this Shabbat, in addition to the regular parsha of the week, Ki Tisa, that you read about like every week, we'll take out the second Torah and we'll read another small piece. It's called Parshat Parah, the story of the red heifer. What is the red heifer? In biblical times, to enter the temple, you had to be pure. When our person becomes impure, for example, if a person is under the same roof with a dead body, he becomes impure. For sure, if he carries the coffin or things like this. And if he's impure, if he gets the impurity of a dead person, he cannot enter the temple. He cannot eat from the sacrificial meat in the time of the temple. Then comes Pesach, Passover, and we have the Passover lamb. And every Jew, if he lived in Israel, was supposed to go to the temple and to be a part of sacrificing a Passover lamb and eating actually a piece of the meat, or the sacrificial meat. But he's not allowed to. He's impure. He was under the same roof with the dead body. That is a part of life. Everybody is a part of it. Then the Torah gave a solution, a remedy for this person. What is the remedy? The Kohen in the temple would take a red cow, a red heifer, should be slaughtered outside of the temple, and then the body is being burned. The ashes, the body of the cow is being burned. That's what in Judaism is. Not, God forbid, human beings. And the water, the ashes are put in water. This water becomes purifying water, and you sprinkle it on everyone who came in contact with a dead body, and then he becomes pure and he can go back to the temple. Then in biblical times, they actually used to do it right before Pesach. Everybody started to get ready to go to Jerusalem and make sure when it comes to Jerusalem, they used to have in Jerusalem enough sprinkling water to sprinkle on hundreds of people. Throughout Jewish history, there were nine red heifers done. The first one by Moses, the second one by Ezra, the beginning of the second temple, and most of them were in the second temple, and the number 10 will be done by the Messiah. Today that we don't have a temple, we are all considered impure because we all came one way or another in contact with dead people, with dead bodies. Then we cannot be purified. We are impure. We cannot, there is no temple to offer sacrifices. We are not even allowed to get up on the Temple Mount today in Jerusalem because we are impure. Then instead we read this parsha in the Torah. When it comes before Pesach, we read it as a way to remember what used to be done in the temple before Pesach. But as we all know, as Jews, as Hasidim, we know that every parsha that we read must have a message. What's the message for us, for today's world? There is something very interesting. Together with when they burned the cow, after they slaughtered it, they used to put in the fire also a cedar tree and a hyssop. Cedar tree is a very tall tree. It could be 50 feet tall, the Lebanon cedar trees. Hyssop is the smallest plant. Then the Medrash points out, you take the tallest tree and the smallest plant and you throw it into the fire together with the cow. What's the message for a person? Then the way to be purified, the way to get purity, to be connected to God. Impurity is disconnected from God. Purity is connected to God because God is the source of purity, of holiness. How you get connected to God? When you take your cedar tree, tall, beautiful, full of himself. Hi, it's me, it's about me. I do it, I accomplished, I go, I'm smarter than everyone. I will make it. And you become small as a hyssop, as the small plant, and humble. Only then you can connect to God. That's what it's all about. The way to connect to God is through nullification, humbleness. When a person realizes, because as long as he's full with himself, he's pushing away God from his life. There is no place for God. He's so full, he doesn't have place for anything. Not for other people, not for God, not for anyone. Only when he's reducing himself, when he realizes it's all about God, it's not me, it's not what I do, and I'm a chochem, and I do, it's what God, it's the blessings from God. Only then a person can connect to God, and when he connects to God, then he's alive forever, because God is the source of life. When your life and death is not measured by how many miles I'm running a day, by pulse. Life is anything that's connected to God. Anything that's not connected to God is not alive. Let's connect and be alive forever. Thank you.